All opinions are those of the participants making them and are not an endorsement of any position, program, religion, or political affiliation. DFG's Corner is for information, observation, and entertainment. I ask that you comment, like, share, and subscribe.
Good afternoon, ladies and gents. This is DFG, the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, smooth as a Rolls Royce. Coming to you live from the 571 where we get things done and we're having fun. On the screen today, I'm showing you a little conversation I had with a good friend of mine. She's 44, about 5'5", about 125, above average in looks, has a decent career, is a mother with a grown child that's currently in college. She hit me up the other day stating about how hard dating was. So this was my response to her. I asked her what, if you had your way, what would the dating process look like? She says, we meet, date for about 6-8 months, get married, live happily after. You saw what I put. Probably a pipe dream in 2023, considering a lot of men don't want to be married. The ones that want to marry her will probably not be ones that she would want to marry. She says that she's a traditional girl. For the most part, she grew up in an apostolic church, so she was coming up. She didn't wear pants until she was in her early 20s. Didn't date, always was covered. Conducted herself very modestly. One thing I asked, I said, hey, saying all what she wanted, now what was she doing to attract the man? As you can see, I'll let you read. I'm not going to go on that. So she told me an instance. I asked her, well, how the dating sites were going. And she explained that she got a lot of dead ends and brothers who weren't serious, even though that's what she put on her profile. She had one brother that she was talking with that was previously married, and he was explaining his situation. She said, well, he was very hostile towards women when I first talked to him, but after a while, he calmed down and told me his story. And I asked, well, what's your story? She said that he told her that he was once married, had 4 children, and his wife cheated on him. And he said, okay. So when they got divorced, he got a girlfriend that he was planning on marrying. They had a baby, but she went back to her ex. And I told her right there, because I said, hey, has any man vetted these men that you're talking to? She said, no. So after she told me that, I said, here's my recommendation that you drop them. She said, well, why? I said, okay. Well, in the last 2 relationships he was in, he was married and he had a long term, both producing children. He doesn't know how to control his seed outside of his marriage. Both his wife and his girlfriend cheated on him. That either means one or two things. He's either a quote nice guy unquote, and they lost respect for him, which is probably closer than I want to say it is, or B, he's just very manipulative and a liar. You said if guys want to marry a woman and they're talking about how good they are, they don't have babies outside of wedlock. That's just a fact. You protect your seed, and he shows he's not protective of his seed. He left the situation where he was married. I said 2 of them kids, probably out of 4 kids, 2 of them probably ain't his, but hey, that's neither here nor there. And then he went into a situation talking about he wanted to get married, but she went back to her other baby daddy. Tells you what it is today. This is what we have out there. And he said he didn't know why. And I explained that. As I told her, I said, look, you're talking about one thing and his results are showing another thing. One, if he would have wanted to marry her, he would have married her, then had the child. So that's just one of those 2 things. And 2, like I said, he doesn't like controlling his seed, so he shoots up the club whenever he can without repercussion. I then asked her about her child's father. Her child's 20. She's 44 now, so at 24, she had a child. First time out of the house. And a lot of times when young ladies come from a very strict upbringing, one, they're naive to the ways of the world, and two, they're susceptible to people who talk smoothly and say what they want to hear. That's what happened to her. Now, she has responsibility in not allowing him to shoot up the club. That's a whole nother story. That's another day. But anyway, the baby came. She said that the reason she left him, and yes, she left him. So, 70% of women leave men, was that she thought that's what you're supposed to do, stand by your man. And I said to her, I said, well, did y'all make it official even before or after y'all got married about, had the child, whether you were going to get married or not? She said, no. I said, then, and yet he put his hands on you. He did a lot of other things. Yes. And I said, do you realize your part in it? She said, yes. So that's one thing. She did accept accountability for her part in the situation. Now, DV is not worth staying. If that's, I remember one of my pastors told his ladies in the congregation, and Pastor Elmore, if you're out there, shout out, is that understanding what the Bible says about, unless it be adultery, let what God has joined, let no man put asunder. If a man is putting his hands on you for no apparent reason, or for control, or for things like that, it's better for you to leave when you with your wits and figure it out later than to stay there and possibly lose your life. I happen to agree with that. Now, fast forward to 2023, she said he called her one day and said, I was a bad person to you. I apologize. And it sounded like she really didn't accept it. But I told her, I said, hey, he's not going to be the perfect guy. He might be still a scumbag, but at least he acknowledged his part on what caused all the heartache and turmoil in your relationship. And you don't have to forget it, but just forgive him because you've moved on, and that shows that you truly moved on. Ladies, if a dude even intimates putting his hands on you, one, get out of there. Two, don't run your mouth. Don't run your mouth. Don't provoke somebody, because sometimes some women get a perverse pleasure out of poking the bear, especially if he's not a rah-rah type and he's mild-mannered and you want to get him off his frame. I know that's your way of testing him, but sometimes you got to let sleeping bears lie, because once that bear gets awakened and they get a taste of blood, they want more. And then you go from being empowered to needing police protection to get you out of there in one piece, as well as your children. And ladies, another reminder: do not keep your kids from their father. The way their father treats you is not a reason for you to keep your children away from their father, unless he has done something like abuse them. And you know what? There are different kinds of abuse. Allow him to be a dad. Y'all don't have to be together. Allow him to be the dad. Now, if he's the type that he's not going to do anything if you don't be with him, unfortunately, that's when you have to get the people involved. But a lot of men are going away from getting married and wanting to be married because the government's in the middle of your relationship, which she has leverage to pull. And as a guy, guys don't really want that. It ain't about the 50-50. It's about what happens once she gets tired, for regardless of what reasons. Now, again, a lot of people preach hypergamy and a lot of people preach restlessness, but overall, we have to look at building together, because if you're a couple and you're together, whether you're in a commitment, long-term, or marriage, You're either going to grow together or grow apart. If something bothers you about that person, talk it out, get counseling. Um, do those things to want to go forward. And remember, one person can't drag somebody, but sometimes you got to pull a little bit more than you have to push. Sometimes you're going to have to be pulled, but you got to realize that getting married for love, especially in today, 2023, is not, it's not a wise thing to do. Now, the heart wants what it wants, but love is an action and a feeling. Once you lose the feeling, the action follows right after that. So if you're going to build a legacy, do it together. Equitably distribute the responsibilities and roles. Listen to one another. If you're having a spiritual / biblical marriage, the man is the head of the household. The woman supports the man. The man's supposed to submit to God. So that's how it goes. If you're in a secular household, the man should lead because he's in charge with security and protection. If the woman wants a 50-50, that means every other time she goes up to protect. That's one thing that no. So why would I do that when I got a man? And I could struggle all by myself, women. If you really could struggle all by yourself, then hey, have fun with that. Um, no, no person should ask another person to go half on splitting the liabilities. It should be equitably distributed. If she has to work, she needs to pay a bill or two. If you're providing, you need to do a dish or two. I know you do that. Most men do the outside, most women do the inside. You know, take your kids somewhere. As for me, I was in the army, and I was at least 90% of my children's events. Now there's some I just couldn't miss because I was gone, but for the most part, I was a designated school talker to her. I was a designated um, appointment taker to her. I still kind of do that today. But whatever is that is equitable distribution of responsibilities and rewards. Everybody should, you chip in, you're supposed to get something back. You're making a joint investment. It's not one person, it's not the other. It's a joint investment. Now we can agree or disagree on how that works, but just knowing, and I know I kind of went off a tangent, but definitely for you single ladies, make yourself the best version you can if you want to attract the type of man that you say that you want. And what you want isn't always what you need. On that note, I'm going to close. This is Dr. Feel Good. Never make love by the garden gate. Though love is blind, the neighbors ain't. Thank you.